Alright, this is it. This is the first ever Richard O'Reilly show on YouTube. I am Richard O'Reilly. Right now it is Monday, June the 5th of 2017. It's an absolutely wonderful day. Probably a really great day to start a nice little YouTube thing. There's a lot going on. I have a whole bunch of articles here we're going to talk about. The way this is going to work, I have a whole bunch of articles here. New York Times, The Hill, CNN, what do we got here? Politico, whole bunch of articles. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to read some quotes. I'm going to talk about them, give my opinions. It's a right-leaning kind of thing, so if you're not a right-wing kind of guy, then you probably are going to hate this, and you're going to hate me immensely. But you know what? If you are a right-leaning kind of guy, you're probably going to like this a lot. So let's just jump right into it, alright? So what we got first? We have the London attack that happened, and not more importantly, but the fallout and the reactions to it. And basically the big question that I had was, what are our leaders going to do, especially Theresa May in Britain? What are they going to do in order to prevent this kind of stuff from happening? See, Donald Trump here in America, he has something of a plan. He has something of an idea on how to stop this from happening, and that is the whole the travel ban. Now look, you can say what you want. You can say, hey, look, the travel ban isn't going to stop all terrorism, right? I mean, it's not going to, come on. But it's a step in the right direction, okay? It's a step in the right direction, because right now what we have is a joke. You look at what's going on in Britain, you look at what's going on with Theresa May. I have an article right now from the New York Times. After the London attack, the Prime Minister says enough is enough. I look at that and I think, man, maybe this means that Theresa May is going to get serious and start to crack down on terrorism in her country. I mean, this could be a really good thing. That's what I thought. But I read through it, and as far as I can tell, that's not really the case. So, Prime Minister Theresa May vowed on Sunday to conduct a sweeping review of Britain's counterterrorism strategy. Again, that sounds great. That sounds like a great thing. Maybe she's going to go and get tough on terrorism, like we have in America, kind of, because we have a president who's on board with keeping us safe, but we have courts that for some reason don't. Makes you wonder why, but whatever. Let's just forget about that for now. But and also like they have in Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe, say what you want about Eastern Europe, but they know how to handle this kind of thing way better than Western Europe does. I mean, in Britain and in France, the terror attacks, they're letting them turn their countries into police states. People on the left always like to talk about police states. They like to talk about our police, the militarized police force. We're turning into a police state, and you know what? I see what they mean. I see where they're coming from. It makes sense, and it's something that I myself am worried about. So that's what's going to happen now in Britain, because what we have here, they're going to be cracking down on the internet. Theresa May says that the internet and social media is a good breeding ground and a safe place for terrorism to spread. Now look it. Is that true? There's some truth to that, She's got a point. But here's the thing. Europe doesn't exactly have a good record when it comes to internet freedom and internet privacy. Britain is the place where you can get locked up for hate speech online. And don't even get me started with Sweden. Sweden has their brand new hate list out, where they try and name these bigots, and they try and shame them in public for having views that go against their whole narrative. That's why I'm not totally on board with this, and it makes sense when you first hear it. When you hear like, oh yeah, the internet. Well, terrorists can sort of they have the internet. They use it as a tool. They use it to recruit. They use it to plan. And we need to stop it. And I get it. We need to stop it. But here's the thing: we can't trust the people in Europe. Not people in Europe. European leaders with this kind of thing, because we've seen what happens. I have a story later down the line that's Germany. Germany and Merkel and the EU in general, they love to put pressure on social media sites like Twitter and Facebook to crack down on hate speech. Hate speech. What is hate speech? Well, they don't really say. They say, oh, it's offensive and it's dangerous and it's bigoted and it's Islamophobic. But what does that mean? We don't know what that does mean. So they say that, and it's a broad term. It could apply to absolutely anything. Like, what's gonna stop you if you're a social media site and you just have a broad rule against no hate speech? Anything could be hate speech. You can take offense to absolutely anything. You can be offended by anything. As long as you put your mind to it, as long as you're creative enough, you can come up with a way that absolutely anything could be offensive. So this power is just not a good thing. And you already see it with Twitter. Twitter rules used to be very nice and clear. No death threats, no pornography, stuff like that. No explicit content. Okay, fine. Makes sense, But then they changed their rules, and now their rules are vague, and they don't really explain anything, and they sort of like assume that, oh, if someone accuses you, it's guilty until proven innocent, and it's, oh, well, you offended somebody, and even if you didn't mean to, they were offended, so it doesn't matter. But that's that's giving people too much power to just say, hey, he offended me, ban him. And we see that happening. We see it happening now, and if we give the governments in Europe, and even in America too, more power to control the internet and social media, then it's just not going to end well. And there's already been, May is calling on the community, the global community, to help her out in cracking down on the internet and internet freedom, pretty much. I mean, let's just say what it is. It's internet freedom that they're gonna crack down on. They say it's security, but usually whenever there's security and they say, oh, it's just security, why are you freaking out? It's just security. It's usually because it's an invasion of freedom. Anyway, what else do we have here? Also in the same article, May, she says that this is a perversion of Islam. It's not Islam itself, it's a perversion of Islam. Well, there we go. This is exactly what happens when it comes to Europe and when it comes to Democrats here, and a lot of Republicans as well, don't get me wrong. But they just say, oh, it's not the religion. It's nothing to do. It's a religion of peace. It's a religion of peace. It's just a perversion of the religion. And they say that, and they try and do their fake outreach. They try and do their, oh, we stand with the community. We stand with the community against terrorism. And what happens? Nothing changes. Nothing changes at all. So what happens is, you see what's going on with May, saying it's a perversion of Islam and not Islam itself, not naming the problem. That's dangerous, because when you can't even name the problem, how are you going to fix it? If you can't even acknowledge what the problem is, how are you going to fix it? See, that's the thing. That's what Trump understood. Trump understood that, look, the Middle East, now look, when it comes to Muslims that have been living here for a long time, look it, I got nothing against them. But when it comes to the Middle East, they do things differently than we do here. Like, people don't understand that. People think that, oh, Western values are worldwide. They're not. They're really not. And I mean, I know that for a lot of people that's just common sense, but you go to the Middle East and a lot of people don't understand that. People think that, oh, well, a majority of Muslims are, moderates, and it's just like a small percentage. And yes, it's a minority, but the percentage is significant enough that there's just too much of a danger, man. I mean, I don't want to bring up the old M&M's, Skittles analogy, where it's like, oh, if you have 100 of them and one of them's poisoned, were you going to take the risk? I don't want to use that, but it's valid. It is valid. Because let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to this attack, and also, absolutely hilarious how the media likes to sort of pretend like, oh, maybe this isn't terrorism. Maybe we don't know if this is terrorism or not. We're not really sure yet. We have to wait and find out. Come on, it's terrorism. Just let's be honest. As soon as this came out, everyone knew. No matter how much you want to say, oh, I wait for the facts, I wait for everything to come out. Everyone knew it was terrorism. Let's just be honest. I mean, how often does it come out where there's a story about something like this, like an attack or a shooting or anything like that, and they say, oh, hang on, let's wait for the facts. How often is it not terrorism? How often? I mean, sure, a couple of times, maybe it does happen, maybe they are right, but that's very, very rare. I mean, it happens every time there's an attack. The media says, oh, hang on guys, hang on, oh, terrorism, we don't know yet, we're not sure. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know, who knows? Nobody knows. People know. People know what it is. Also, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, heightening the police presence. That's great. Just what we need, right? This guy, Sadiq Khan, is apparently like a big left-wing kind of guy. But no, police state, police state, whatever. It's for security. It's for safety. That's what they always say. I thought that was a bad excuse. You know, back when the NSA was coming out back in the day, you still remember, Democrats, they all said, oh, invasion of privacy. You can't cut civil liberties in the name of security, and they were right. They were absolutely right. But now, what's going on now? It's just completely gone the other way. And now I know that, not Democrats, leftists in Europe and Britain are different than Democrats here. But I mean, come on now. I mean, it should be a similar ideology, but no, it's not. And look, if it was temporary, I'd be totally fine. If it was just a temporary thing, more police for the time being, I'd be fine with it. But it's very rare that that's the case. It's very rare because they always say, oh, we need it for security, it'll be temporary, it'll be fine, don't worry. And then what happens? The threat goes away, but the police presence doesn't. That's what happens right now in France. Paris, by the way. Did you guys know Paris is like a total war zone? Not a war zone. That's not what I was trying to say. It's not a war zone, but it's definitely no longer a vacation spot. You wouldn't want to be in Paris right now because it is locked down. You want to go to the Eiffel Tower, it's like trying to get into an airport in this country. You have to go through so many searches, so many checks. It's ridiculous. This didn't happen too long ago. I mean, a few years ago, that wouldn't have happened. You would have been able to get in easy. But now, because of the terrorism, now is all searches, seizures, everything. It's ridiculous. And it's because this is their response. Because they're so afraid to just name the problem and just name what's wrong and why this is happening. They're so afraid to do that because if they do, they get called Islamophobes. Well, the time for worrying about that is over. People are going to call me an Islamophobe. I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. It's words. It's words versus actual harm being done to people. They want to call me whatever they want to call me. They want to call them whatever they want to call them. But you shouldn't let that fear override your logical sort of thinking and your ability to keep your own country safe. That's ridiculous. That's what happens. They don't know how to... They don't know how to just say, you want to call me an Islamophobe? I don't care. So what? I'm trying to keep my country safe. You want to call me whatever, you want to call me a racist, you want to call me a bigot, you want to call me whatever? Fine. Doesn't mean a thing to me. Why can't people just say that? Why is it so hard to find people saying that? At least Donald Trump, say what you want about the man. At least he had the guts to come out and say, hey, look, Islam's a problem. Let's be honest. Islam is a bit of a problem right now for us, and we're gonna need to tighten our security and sort of, we're gonna need the travel ban. And look, you want to call me an Islamophobe, you want to call me a racist, you want to call me a bigot, you call me whatever you want to call me, that's fine. I'll do it. I'll do my policies anyway. Why can't we have that same kind of bravery in Europe? Why not? And how come it's only confined to Eastern Europe and Russia? Democrats, they talk about Russia, but how come we can't have that sort of thing everywhere? Why can't we have that in Britain? Why can't we have that in France? Why is it only in Poland? Why can't we have it in Sweden? Why can't we have it in Germany? Why is it confined to these sort of countries? And I mean, at least America is getting on board now, but I mean, it's ridiculous that it's come to this. And this is where we're at now, where we have 2 attacks within weeks in the same country. It's ridiculous. So anyway, talking about the fallout from this and what people are saying about it, Donald Trump tweeted out about Sadiq Khan, sort of mocking, not really mocking, but sort of going after him for saying there's no reason to be alarmed. And people came after him. Absolutely, it was vicious. The way that they came after him, it was vicious. Excuse me. Because they're saying he was implying, Donald Trump was implying, that Sadiq Khan said there's nothing to be alarmed about in terms of the terror threat, when he was actually talking about the police presence. But here's the thing. This is what they miss. People who are talking about, oh, Donald Trump says he's talking about terrorism, oh, what an idiot, right? Here's what they miss. The police presence thing. There is reason to be alarmed by that. I mean, if you were living in a city, and all of a sudden, your mayor had to come out and say, look we need extra police, we need more presence, we need to heighten the presence, we need to have them armed, walking around the place because, there could be an attack. But don't be alarmed by the presence because, there's nothing going on. Wouldn't you be a little bit like worried? Like, hang on, why do we have armed police all over the place? Why do we have so many of them? And look, everyone knows the reason in London because everyone knows about the attack. But that's the thing, like, people would be alarmed by that. It just makes sense, like, because people don't want armed police walking around their communities. Like, it's just something that you don't want to see when you're sitting in the park trying to enjoy a nice day out, and then you have a squad of armed guards walk by you because of the terror threat. So they go after Trump for saying that, but it's really, it's not like he said anything that was not sensible. I mean, sensible. He also talked about the ban. And how this means that he needs to sort of go on and get the ban through because we need to be safe. Isn't that totally reasonable? Doesn't that make sense? But of course the media, they go after him because you know why they go after him? They say, oh my god, I can't believe it. Politicizing a tragedy like this. Unbelievable. They say that, unbelievable. Unbelievable, what are you talking about? Barack Obama and the Democrats, do you have any idea how fast they were to come after with their gun control legislation whenever there was a shooting, within the next hours, days, Democrats would come out and say, oh, look this is the proof that we need gun control. So I don't want to hear it with the, oh, don't politicize a tragedy. You can't, because Democrats did it all the time. Barack Obama did it all the time. Don't act like he didn't. He came out with it with his tears. Were they real or fake? I won't comment on that. Maybe they were real. Maybe they weren't. Let's be honest. Knowing him, they probably weren't. Anyway, moving on. Oh yeah. Speaking about Trump and his Twitter and the terror attacks, he retweeted last night that a Drudge headline. It said, fears of a new terror attack, it read. Now, for some reason, in the media, this is a travesty. Oh my, like I was saying before, they say, oh my goodness, how could anyone jump to conclusions? How could anybody even speculate that it was terrorism? Unbelievable. That's why you had NBC saying that they would not relay the president's retweet because the info is unconfirmed. Can you believe that? New York Times called it a speculative item from Drudge. Speculative. ISIS has already claimed responsibility for the attack, and Drudge saying that terrorism is a speculation now, it's unconfirmed now. This is apparently the level that we're at. Unbelievable. I mean, like I said before, people knew from the beginning, hey look, this is probably a terror attack. Most likely. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, guys with knives, with the fake suicide vests on. Let's be honest, probably terrorism. ISIS came out and said, yeah, it was terrorism. The media, no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not terrorism. We have no idea. We can't say what it is. We don't know what it is yet. The facts aren't out. Oh, obviously, the facts aren't out. The facts are out. ISIS said, yeah, it was terrorism. Everyone knew, yeah, it was probably terrorism. So the facts are out, and look, I know, you can say, oh look, but his tweet was before it was confirmed. It was before it was confirmed. So it's technically speculation. Okay, fine. Technically speculation, but is it really speculation if it's almost guaranteed to be true? I mean, come on, the guys were running around with knives. They had fake suicide vests on to scare people away, and so that no one would shoot them. And people are saying, "Oh, maybe this was just a random act of violence." I mean, what else could it possibly be? What else could it possibly be? I can't think of anything else that it would possibly be. And of course, now The Hill comes out and says, oh, the politicized overreaction to London Bridge attacks will play into terrorist hands. Excuse me real quick. I have to take a drink. But yeah, anyway. That's a headline from The Hill. Politicized overreaction to London Bridge attacks will play into terrorist hands. Sometimes there is a roundup of serious suspects with no connection to the attacker, a call for new limits on the internet and social networking, which is a bad thing, and far more rarely, to address the causes of alienation and terrorism. Alienation? I know what they mean though. They're talking about how sometimes you'll have people come out and say, hey look, terrorism happens, we need to get to the root cause. And that's reasonable. Getting to the root cause. I can see why you would want to do that, and you can come up with your reasons and your explanations and say, hey look, it's because Middle East wars, or it's because Islamophobia in the West. I mean, the former is a little bit more logical than the latter, but here's the thing. Here's what I have to say. The causes don't matter. It's happening. And we need to be able to stop that. The causes, people always go after people. I mean, liberals and the whole Black Lives Matter crowd, they go after people when there is a act of violence by a white person, and they say, oh, well, I can't believe everyone always says, oh, we need to get to the root cause. We need to get to the root cause. Maybe it was mental illness. They always say that, but then when it comes to terrorism, they say, oh, you know what? Maybe the root cause is the most important part here. Maybe that's the real story, is the root cause. The root cause, whatever you want to say it is. Okay, let's just say we get to the bottom of it and we say, yes, we have scientific research that says the root cause of terrorism is this, or it's this. What then? Are we going to go ahead and say, oh, well, we care about their feelings, so we're going to go in and try and stop the root cause? Is that what we're going to do? No, of course not. Like, if there was actual solid evidence, which it kind of already is, that it's wars in the Middle East that causes terrorism, what, our government's just going to say, oh, well, time to end the wars? No, it's not going to happen. So, to be practical, we need security, we need immigration restriction, we need extreme vetting. Trump likes to say extreme vetting. We need all that, and we can't give in to this whole idea, these multiple ideas, this idea that, oh, it's just a normal part of life, we have to accept it, and especially not, we have to accept restraints on our freedoms, which is what, by the way, The Hill says. This is a quote. We have already accepted many restraints on our freedoms, and may well have to accept more. More? Accepted many? First of all, I don't know where you get this idea that we've accepted many. We haven't exactly accepted them. people are still pissed off about the whole TSA and what goes on in airports and, you know, internet spying, NSA. People are still pissed off about that. We haven't accepted that. Like, some people maybe have. Some people have maybe said, oh, well, we can't do anything about it, so we just give up. But most people say, no, you're gonna spy on me. It's bullshit. I'm not gonna let that happen. So this idea that we've accepted the restraints, not true at all. And we may have to accept more. More. What's next? We're already being spied on. We're already going through these searches, and we already have a police force that's all militarized and all over the place. What could possibly be next for us? Notice how it's us. Notice how they always say, oh, if we let fear consume us, then the terrorists win. People always used to say, oh, if we do the travel ban, the terrorists win. That's what they want. They want us to be secure, right? But that isn't a restriction on us. On people who live here, on people who are citizens and who have lived here their whole lives and who have never done any sort of violent extremism. It's a restriction on us. Why should we have to take the punishment for what goes on overseas and what goes on, you know, with these terrorists? Why should we have to take the punishment of having our freedoms restricted? Why is that our burden? It shouldn't be. It should be their burden. Countries in the Middle East, we should have the travel ban, because here's the thing. Even if you have people there who are, you know, moderates and just trying to get into the country, we can't take the risk, and we also need to send a message to the countries like, hey, look, get your terrorism problem under control, or else you can't have your citizens move here, because it's just too risky. Like, if this was the other way around, and there was terrorism going on, you know, by Europeans, I'm sure nobody would hesitate in the Middle East and in Africa and in Asia to say, hey, look, guys, what's going on here is just crazy, and we can't have it. We're going to need to block immigration because it's just out of control. No one would hesitate. But because it's the Middle East and it's European countries, they say, you know, it's a risk and it's a danger, and we don't really have the money and we don't really have what it takes to support you guys. But you know what? Diversity is the most important thing of all time. Diversity is more important than economics or safety. Everyone come in. Merkel, everyone, just everyone into the country. It's a mess. It's just a mess. And now also, the Hill also says that violent Islamic extremists want to create a clash between civilizations. But here's the thing. It kind of already is. Without them even trying, it pretty much is one, because we have a group of people who are fundamentalist, radical Muslims who want to take down us, secular nations, because they don't like our culture. They don't like the fact that we can have Ariana Grande, a woman, go on stage and, you know, sing to people. They don't like that. So they come after us. That's why they went after that concert, by the way. People don't talk about that. People don't talk about how the reason they went after that concert is because, hey, they hate the idea that, oh, look at this. We have a woman who has, like, she's, like, successful, and she's rich, and she has, like, fans, and she's not even covering her body. She's not even covering her face. And she's out here singing for everybody. They hate that. They hate that. They hate us for our culture. I don't say our freedoms because it's more complicated than that. They hate us for our culture. So in a way, it is a clash of civilizations. Now look, am I saying that we should go on the offense? No. That's ridiculous. We should not go on the offense. But in order to play smart defense, we can't just give in and say, okay, fine, liberties, we got to give them up. It's safety. I mean, it's safety. We got to give up our liberties. No, we have to play defense in a smart way that defends us. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I am sick as anything. I picked the wrong day to start doing this. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. We need to play it smart. we need to defend ourselves in a way that makes sense and that doesn't punish us for being victims, right? I mean, they talk about victim blaming. This is victim blaming. I mean, this is just saying, hey, look, you guys are the ones that are having this terrorism done to you, but sorry, you're gonna have to pick up the punishment as well because, hey, it's safety. If we had the travel ban, and if we expanded it for even more countries, I know that you can't ban everyone, but if we added more countries to the list, more terror-prone countries, we would never have a terror attack again. I mean, look what happens in Poland. Poland has very tight immigration laws. They don't let in the refugees that the EU wants them to. And have you ever heard of a terror attack in Poland? I know I haven't. So Poland takes security seriously, and they do it smartly. They don't go after their own citizens. They protect themselves from the outside, not the inside. So this is this is something that I heard from CNN. An article. Facebook wants to be hostile to terrorists. So are you saying that Facebook wasn't already hostile to terrorists? It wasn't hostile already? Facebook was loving to terrorists? Facebook is saying, like, oh yeah, in the past we've been so nice to terrorists, but I think we need to start cracking down. We need to start being tough. And of course they say that. Anything gonna change? It's possible. They'll probably crack down on terrorism. They'll also crack down on free speech and hate speech. So it's a mixed bag. But oh yeah, there's also a quote in this article. Look, tech companies have increasingly come under pressure in Europe because of the way they handle threats and hate speech. Isn't that great? The biggest threat to the country. The biggest threat to Europe. The biggest threat to Europe right now. Forget about terrorism. Forget about all that. It's hate speech. How are we going to survive when we have hate speech all over the place? We have people on Twitter saying mean things. How can we survive? Because this is what they do. Because in Germany, not in Europe and in Germany, they don't really understand, like, what is the threat. Because the terror attacks happen, right? And here's the logic. The logic is, oh, this didn't happen because of the ideology or because of the religion. It happened because we have so many people with vile hate speech online that talk about how much, oh, they hate Muslims so much, and Muslims just see that, and of course they just become terrorists because that's how it works. If I saw hate comments about me online, what am I going to do? Am I going to go join ISIS? Is that what I'm going to do? No. It's the ideology, it's the religion. It's not, oh, I saw mean comments online, so I had to join ISIS. I mean, it's the, what else could I do? I mean, that's the only logical thing to do. Oh, someone saying mean things about my religion online? Well, I guess you gotta go and devote my life to killing the infidels in the name of Allah. That's the only logical thing that we can possibly do. It's not how it works. So this whole hate speech thing that they're cracking down on Europe, it's a fraud. It's a fraud. I mean, I can say that they're just dumb, but they're not, because it's planned out. I mean, they want to do this because, you know, they don't want dissent. They don't want, a lot of the times it's people like Merkel. You know, Merkel, pretty left-wing kind of, you know, economics. She's pretty centrist, but when it comes to social issues, I mean, she is, relating to America, I mean, she's out there. She's pretty out there. So she cracks down on this hate speech because, okay, it's dissent. It's really what it is. It's dissent. So it's scary, man. I mean, looking at what's going on in Europe with this crackdown on hate speech, it's kind of scary to see it. Let's move on. Let's move on from terrorism. Let's move on to the Senate. Because the Senate has returned, and it is a sad scene. So, for those who don't know, Republicans in Congress, they came out at the beginning of Trump's term, and they said, alright guys, here it is. We're going to come out, we have a 200-day plan We have all these legislative goals. We're going to get them all done in 200 days. Well, I hate to say, 200 days are almost over, and they've done nothing. Nothing. They've done nothing. They've done... What? What have we gotten done? Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch? Okay, good. I like that. What else? Cut regulations? Okay, cool. But what, like, important things? Like, what about immigration? What about infrastructure? What about any of that? They've done nothing. You know why? Because they're spending all their time talking about Russia. That's all they do. They don't focus on things that actually matter. I mean, we've gotten what? We got the House Healthcare Bill, which is a disaster. I mean, now look, it's not. Look, I know, it's politics. Look, we needed to get something through. We needed to have a victory. We needed to be able to get something to the Senate. I get it. You needed some progress because it was really slow. The progress was really slow, so they had to get something through. And I get that, but you need to expand. You need to do more, and they've done nothing. They haven't done anything with it. I mean, Trump has come out and said, "Yeah, we need more money in healthcare." Great. How come Congress can't do that? How come Republicans in Congress are so ineffectual? They're so weak. They don't know how to push. They don't know how to govern. They don't know how to do things. They don't know how to be popular. They don't know how to do any of that. So The Hill has an article that says the Senate returned more pessimistic than ever on healthcare. Isn't that great? They're pessimistic, which pretty much means, look we're not going to do anything, and that's about it. we're not going to get anything through, and if we do, it's going to be terrible, and that's about it. We're not really going to push. We're not going to do anything. That's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats are animals when it comes to politics. They fight and they fight and they whine and they complain and they delay and they delay and they delay. They know how to fight. Republicans have no idea how to fight. They have no idea what they're doing in there. Why are we spending so much time talking about Russia, and why aren't we talking about getting jobs back? Why are we not talking about immigration? Why aren't we talking about infrastructure and healthcare and education? Why are we talking about Russia? Who cares? Who cares about Russia? Nobody cares about Russia. You know who cares about Russia? Democrats, the media. That's about it. Who cares about Russia? Nobody cares about Russia. But Republicans, they don't understand that. They think that, oh, if we talk about Russia, then that'll come off as bipartisan. So Democrats will like us more, right? No. Democrats will not like you. Democrats are never going to like you. So spending all your time talking about Russia. Some of the worst offenders, John McCain. John McCain, stop. John McCain, just stop. Stop with your Russia. Stop saying, "Oh, Russia is our greatest is our greatest enemy. Putin is our greatest threat." Not ISIS. Putin is worse than ISIS. John McCain, please stop. John McCain, stop. John McCain, just retire. Just retire, please. It's not working anymore. He's retiring soon. Thank God, because he has no idea what he's doing. Also, you know what's funny? John McCain said Russia is our greatest enemy. 2017. Back in 2012, during one of the debates, Mitt Romney was like, "Oh yeah, Russia is our greatest foe, our greatest threat." Democrats, they laughed at him. They were like, come on, Mitt Romney, come on. It's not 1984 anymore. The Cold War is over. Russia isn't our greatest enemy. Get real. Fast forward to 5 years later, John McCain says the exact same thing. Democrats, oh, John McCain, thank God we have people like John McCain in the Senate. really sensible Republicans, really strong Republicans that are gonna stand up to Trump. That's strength, apparently. That's strength. That's not strength. That's the easy way out. It's, if you're a politician in Washington, it's easy to bash Trump. It's easy to say, oh, Russia, Russia, Russia. It's hard to stand up for the president. That's why no one does it. That's why we have nobody in Congress coming out and saying, hey, look, this Russia thing is a total witch hunt. Let's just be honest. I mean, it's a joke. No one says that because they're weak. And because they take the easy way out. They say, hey, you know, maybe if they listen to people like Joe Scarborough, people who say, oh, if Republicans don't distance themselves from Trump, if they don't denounce Trump, they're going to lose in a landslide. They said that last year as well. They said that in the 2016 elections. They said, oh, if Republicans don't say, they don't disavow Trump and they don't denominate him somehow, then they're going to lose the presidency, they're going to lose Congress, they're going to lose everything. They said that. Then what happened? They didn't get rid of Trump, and they won everything. They won everything. They were dead wrong. They were dead wrong. And now they're saying the exact same thing about next year. It's the same. And also notice how they talk about polls and approval ratings. They say, oh, Donald Trump, the most hated president of all time. -4% approval rating, 90,000% disapproval rating, 52% of Americans say they want him impeached. Right. You said the exact same thing during the election. You said, oh, Donald Trump. Remember HuffPost? They said, oh, Donald Trump, 1% chance of winning. Less than 1% chance of winning. It was like 1.001% chance of winning. And then he won. So HuffPost was dead wrong. Dead wrong. Everyone who said, oh, Hillary's got this in the bag, Trump is done, Trump's got no chance, dead wrong. They were all dead wrong. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they're saying the exact same thing now that they were a year ago, and they're going to be saying the exact same thing a year from now. 2018 midterms, I can guarantee the media is going to be all over Republicans. They're going to say, oh, if you guys don't disavow Trump, if you don't try to impeach him or something ridiculous like that, then you're going to lose in a landslide. You're going to lose everything. Then watch. It's not going to happen. They won't do that, and they'll win anyway. Or they'll be stupid, and they will do that, and they will lose in a landslide. Because here's the thing. People like Trump more than they like the Republican Party. That's the thing. They don't realize that Trump got more voters for the party. People are voting for Republicans because they want to see them helping out the president. Next year, when Congress has the midterms, people are going to vote for Republicans not because they want them to stand up to Trump. They're going to vote for them because they want them to stand with Trump. And they don't get that. They don't get that. And if they don't start getting that soon, they're going to lose in a landslide. It's going to be embarrassing. Because think about it. You're a voter. And you support the president. And you go out to vote in midterms. And you have a Democrat who says, oh, impeach Trump, impeach, Russia, Russia, Russia. And you have a Republican who says, yeah, we're going to need to look in, and we're going to need to investigate and impeach and all that. Why bother voting? It's going to be the same outcome no matter who you vote for. Meanwhile, you have a Democrat who says, oh, impeach, Russia, Russia, Russia. And you have a Republican who says, no, that's ridiculous. It's a witch hunt. Not going to happen. You'll vote for that guy because he'll actually give you what you want. And what you want is to have the president not be impeached. Because you support him, and you support his agenda, and you support his populism. But people, they don't understand that. They think that They think that if they're moderate, and if they're centrist, and if they're bipartisan, that'll win them votes, right? It's not going to happen. And I really, really hope that they get it together so that next year they can keep their majorities and maybe even get a supermajority. I know it's very, very unlikely, but I'm telling you, if they go at it hard enough and they defend the president with just absolute, complete passion and energy, it could happen. They could gain the supermajority. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to be weak. I think they're going to not be effective. They're going to back down. They're going to be on defense all the time. And if they do that, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty at all. I can guarantee you. If I was running the party, the Republican Party, we would never lose again. I know that's a very egotistical thing to say, and like, oh, come on. But it's true. I mean, we have leaders of the party that don't know what they're doing. Paul Ryan, okay, look. What is Paul Ryan even doing? Paul Ryan is out there, and Paul Ryan, remember during the campaign, Paul Ryan would do is endorse and unendorse and re-endorse over and over again? How embarrassing was that? That's the thing. Because Republicans listen to the media. They listen to the media say, oh, Donald Trump, -2 approval rating, most hated man in the history of mankind. And they say, oh, look, we have to make distance and we have to disavow. So they do that. But then they realize, like, oh, but maybe people like him, maybe they don't. They get confused. That's what happened to Paul Ryan. He got confused. So he would endorse and unendorse and re-endorse over and over and over again, until eventually, now he's in this like sort of like weird state of limbo, where he's like not really endorsing, not really disavowing. He's sort of like there, and it's embarrassing, man. We need to get new leaders. We really do. We need new leaders in Congress. We need new congressmen in general. I mean, we need new voices. And here's the thing, I don't know how to make that happen. I mean, I'm just a guy in a room with a microphone. I can't make that happen, but I really hope someone does, because we need better Republicans in Congress, better leaders, people who are going to stand by the president and defend him and go after all this fake news about Russia and about investigations and about collusion. Fight back is what they need to do. Will they? I don't know. Anyway, that was a bit of a thing on my hand. I have an article from Politico that says the Senate Republicans fear a train wreck in September. So we're staying on the whole Senate thing. John McCain says that he's disappointed in what they've gotten done so far. You know what, John McCain? I agree with you. I almost never agree with John McCain, but right now, I do. He's disappointed, so am I. Because these first few months have been embarrassing for the whole party. I mean, think about it. For 8 years, they've been saying, okay, look, guys, we need to get Obama out of office. We need to take the majorities. And once we do, we're gonna repeal Obamacare, and it's gonna be a Republican utopia. We're gonna get all of our policies through, and it's gonna be great. Then what happened? They got it. They got it out of nowhere. They didn't even expect it, but they got the majorities. They got the White House, and what are they doing now? They're doing absolutely nothing. Another part of this article that is just absolutely embarrassing is the fact that certain people in the Senate are looking for bipartisan legislation. And here we go, right? First of all, the whole idea that these are going to be bipartisan bills should set off a bit of an alarm right away, because when Republicans and Democrats say bipartisan, they mean something that we can both agree on that's horrible. They say that they can come to an agreement and they can pass legislation and create bipartisanship with new Russia sanctions. Unbelievable. This is it. This is your big idea. This is your big plan on how to get things done and how to regain support. Russia sanctions. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, honestly. Republicans in the Senate and in Congress, Russia is not going to win you elections. Democrats will learn that the hard way, but you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to sit there and just think that, oh, if we talk about Russia, everyone's gonna say that we're standing up to tyranny, and we're standing up to Vladimir Putin and America, and we're standing up to tyranny, and we're standing up to fascism, and we're standing up to brutal dictators. No one is going to think that. If you pass new Russia sanctions, I'm sorry, but you are absolute idiots. Because here's the thing. Not only are voters not going to care, but it's going to piss off Russia, and we don't need to piss off Russia. There's no point. Russia is already pissed off. And why? Because our leaders are dumb and they just like to scapegoat Russia all the time. It doesn't make any sense. New Russia sanctions. I mean, if they do go through these sanctions, what will their reasoning be? We know what it's going to be. It's going to be all collusion and election meddling. Election meddling. Here's something that I gotta say. Democrats and people have moved on. They've moved on to collusion. They've moved past the interference, and they've moved on to collusion. Think about this. They still haven't proved interference at all. They haven't proved it. But they just moved on anyway. They don't care. They moved on anyway. I mean, everyone always says, oh, they interfered in the election and now we're going to figure out about collusion. How did they interfere? What did they do? And the claims, there's no backing to them. They say, oh, well, they gave WikiLeaks the DNC emails. Okay. How do you prove that? Well, we can't. Obviously you can't, because there's nothing there. Julian Assange says, yeah, no, it wasn't Russia. Why would he lie about that? What reason does he have to lie about that? He has no reason to lie. Why would he lie? And look it, I know you can say, oh, well, you shouldn't just trust someone blindly. I get that. But why would he lie about that? What's the point? Because he's already in trouble with the country. He's already in trouble with the government of multiple countries. So why would he lie about that? It's not going to get him in any trouble if he isn't in any trouble. So I just don't see it. And like, they also say, oh, they spread disinformation and fake news. How? Where? Where's the proof? Well, we don't have any. Great. I mean, everything is just speculation, and just like they come up with like they've created a cloud of conspiracy and a cloud of suspicion. They've done that by themselves. They say, oh, I can't believe the administration has such a cloud of corruption over it. You guys have smoke machines and you're making those clouds for them. Smoke machines. You know what I mean. You're making those clouds for them. Because this is what you do. I mean, think about it. What do they have to back up the whole Russia thing? What do they use? They say, oh, fake news, DNC emails, and then they say, what was it they said? I totally forgot what I was about to say. How embarrassing is that? They say DNC emails, they say fake news, and they say, oh yeah, PP tapes. That's their other thing. They say, oh, Vladimir Putin has a PP tape of Donald Trump and prostitutes. What? What is that? Excuse me again. What is that supposed to mean? Do you have the tapes? Can you prove it? No, of course we can't. No, we can't prove it. Our proof is this dossier made by some former British intelligence guy who worked for the Hillary Clinton campaign. Yeah, he's reliable. People forget that this whole Russia thing started off as a Clinton campaign talking point. That was one of her big attacks on Trump, was always a Russian puppet. That was her talking point. And now it's a big serious investigation and a big scandal and Russia and Watergate 2.0. But it was a talking point. It was like a fake little DNC Hillary Clinton campaign little thing to shift the blame of the loss onto Russia, instead of saying, hey, look, Hillary was a terrible candidate and she was terrible at campaigning and she had no idea what she was doing. They deflect from that and they say, no, it was just Russia. It's Russia. It's Russia, obviously, right? So they moved on to collusion. Still have no proof of interference. And then I remember there was like a document. It was like, oh, this is the proof. This is it. This is the official report on Russian interference in the election. This is proof that we are right about Russia. You read it, and I forgot who came out with it. I forgot who it was that made it. It was an intelligence agency. Maybe the FBI, maybe the CIA. Who knows? Excuse me. I am deeply sorry. But then, the report was just like bashing RT and saying, oh, Putin's a bad guy, and Russia's a bad country, and we're good guys, and they have technology and fake news. Alright, that's our evidence. That's what we got. What? It was a long thing too, but there was no content, no evidence, nothing that pointed in any direction to like, hey, look, we got the smoking gun here. No, they got nothing, and they still have nothing. So this whole thing is just such a big mess, and I had more things to get onto. I ran out of time. I'm very new to this, as you can tell. I'm very new to this whole thing. I have about 3 more pages of things to cover. Oh, alright. We'll get to that next time. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, things are messed up, you know, things are crazy. You take a look at the media and the deep state and Congress and how just stupid and weak Republicans are in Congress and how they don't know how to fight, how they give in so easily. It's just a bit of a mess. I mean, that's why I'm here, you know. I just wanted to talk about the issues, talk about things, and hopefully it all goes well, you know. I mean, we do have hope because, you know, there's a lot of passion on the right. Something that I see is that there's just a lot of passion. There's a lot of love, not love. There's a lot of just sort of like emotion. And what I'm hoping, this is my hope, is that in 2018 and 2020, we come out, Republicans, we turn out, and we get Congress, we keep a hold of Congress, and we send a message to our congressmen and our leaders, and we say, hey, look, guys, we're going to reelect you, but you need to do actual things, and you need to talk about actual issues. You can't just talk about Russia all the time. You need to talk about actual, real issues that people care about. And send a message to the Democrats that the same thing, like, Democrats, talking about Russia all the time isn't going to get you anything. Talk about real things, and maybe people will vote for you. Because let's be honest, nobody is voting for Democrats right now. Nobody. They say, oh, the popular vote. The popular vote came from one state, California. You can't win elections like that. Sorry. So yeah, anyway, we're about at the 1 hour mark. Yeah, I'm gonna end it right here. Do I know how to do outros? Absolutely not. You can tell I'm still very new to this. It's probably been a real mess, but you know what? It's gonna go well. It's gonna go really well. I can just feel it, that this is gonna be a great thing. Richard O'Reilly on YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe I'll really appreciate that. It would be such a great thing to see. And also on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. It would be a great thing as well, you know? But anyway, that's been Richard O'Reilly Show on YouTube. First episode. Have a nice one.